Hi and welcome to War HQ. My name is Lucius. Today, as usual, joined by our co-host here, Kaisel. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Tired after yesterday.
Tired after
Mm.
yesterday. So there is a good reason we're tired after yesterday, and that's I made the epic journey up to Brisbane, and Kaisel and I did some cool stuff. What we did is we did a modified version of Pariah Nexus. So what we did is we used the arena board, and then we used the rules that we had, and we basically played Pariah Nexus Arena, if that makes any sense. But we did use the new units as well. I ran a full heavy intercessor team, so five heavy intercessors, and we'll go through that in a second. And Kaisel, you were running.
I did a mixed bag. Usually I go for a Lich Guard and the rest of its flayed ones, but because there's so many of the changes to other models, I decided to throw warriors, immortals in there. I didn't throw a death mark in there, which I really am kicking
You
myself
regret?
for. Yeah,
Yeah,
I found out later on about all of the bonuses that got, so I would have really liked to have tested those out.
yeah. So I think today what we're going to do is we're going to go through just what we found through playing the Pariah Nexus rules. I know it's not on the Pariah Nexus board, but this is the next best thing.
Mm.
And we had fun doing it. And there's some really good stuff. There's some good stuff in this that we'll go through. And some of the units have really been buffed. And I think the game, in general, I think these additions improve the game. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
it,
um, I think Marines are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think they're going to be like tier one now, probably right at the top of the mix.
mm,
I think they're really that good now with some of the changes that have happened with Pariah Nexus. I gather that my thoughts, anyway, is that obviously something else is coming out, whether that be an annual which updates things, an FAQ which updates points, or it's going to be a Kill Team 2.0. We're not sure. I don't have a scoop on that, but I think they're going to have to balance all the other teams because obviously Marines are now, like Marine teams, I should say. So that's going to be Death
mm,
Guard and Thousand Suns and all these ones are probably going to go up to 2 wounds, right? To be in line with the rest of
yeah,
everything that's going on, which makes sense. And I think that'll make those teams better as well. So, you wouldn't want to be playing with the new Marines versus HA or something where all your Marines have 1 wound. It's going to suck. You're going to get your ass
yeah.
handed to you. So, but let's go through some of that stuff. So first things first is I was running a pretty basic team from the new Pariah Nexus. I was running five heavy intercessors. We're playing 100 points. I know it's going to be more because Pariah Nexus has commanders in that, but we're still going on the old competitive format, which is
Mhm.
Arena. So 100, at 100 points. Now I just had two regular heavy intercessors. Then I had a leader heavy intercessor, and then I had two heavy bolter heavy intercessors. So, and it actually equaled exactly 100 points. So with those five models, I was able to get 100 points. And do you have your list offhand, or I know you had a few different things.
I can base.
Your
I don't
key
have it
points.
in front of me, but yeah, it was basically what I was running was just a Lich Guard with a War Scythe, uh,
Yeah,
two warriors. I put the
you had the
Reapers on. Yeah,
Gauss weapons on it.
I put
Yep.
the Reapers on those. I
Yep.
tried two Immortals, one with the blaster and one with the carbine, just to see
One with the
if there's
Templar.
any.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that carbine. Yeah.
And two flayed ones. So uh, again, I would have
Yeah.
liked a death mark, but
We they were nice games because we had low numbers, so like the
yes,
turns were very quick. We got through a few games, so and we have a few things to report on that really. One thing I'll say from my side of things with the heavy intercessors, the new Astartes rules, they're really good. I mean, well, look, when the points got leaked that they were going to be 17, 18 for a leader or gunner, um, I was shocked. Like I know we did a video a bit back and we were saying I was expecting them to be between 20 to 25 points, and that was just base without any heavy weapons. I was thinking, but these are a lot cheaper than what we thought and what we were expecting.
mm,
But really, what I found mainly from our games, and I did beat the Necrons in the first game we played, and that was, I'll tell you why, is because I managed to hold objectives with one Marine on each objective. Um, Now, in the new rules, it's how many wounds of models you have on an objective, right, Kaiser?
yes,
Not
yeah,
how many models you have on an objective, which score you the objective. So having 3 wounds against an opponent with primarily 1 wound models, and not many of them, really gave me an advantage. So I
yeah,
could put a Marine on each of the objectives and pretty much held them the whole game, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah,
Even though there was situations there where my guys were standing 1 inch on one side, like away from the enemy on one side of the objective, and Kaisel had two Necrons on the other side of the objective, and we were just having a point blank range shooting contest at each other, which was pretty funny. Like against his warriors and immortals versus my versus one of my heavy intercessors,
yeah,
which was pretty amusing, really. And at the end of the game, there wasn't really many casualties, was there? Like I think I'd killed one of yours and you'd killed
yeah.
one of mine. I think it was,
No, no,
that
no.
was, you didn't even kill one of mine, did you?
Yeah, it
You
was
did,
one.
but there's another little thing that we did, isn't
Yeah,
it? Isn't that the Death Denied? And that's been leaked at 2 points, back to
which
2 points.
that will get errated. It has to.
It has to be. It has to be. Like it saved me every turn. I mean, and it was ridiculous. It was like I had a few games against some other opponents too. Like I played against Orcs as well, and I felt really bad because, like, a good example is Kaisel got his Lich Guard in on me and cut me to pieces, and I just went, "Oh, Death Denied, 2 points. Who cares?"
Well,
And then it was back to normal. And then that gave me another round. It just went on and on and on until I could pick off each of it. Yeah, it was a bit rude, really. I thought
we did.
it should be 3 points. Like, yeah, I
I
think with these new heavy intercessors having 3 wounds, it's just brutal. Hey, like just trying to kill them is hard.
We did
Really
speak
hard.
afterwards. Like I suggested that, like, still keep it at 2 points, but put a roll in there. Like it fails
Yeah,
at a
like,
1 or something.
yeah.
Like to
Everyone
make
else
it,
has that. Hey?
yeah, make it like the whole risk versus reward thing. It's like, yeah, I'm going to spend 2, but there's that one chance that I will fail it.
Yeah, look, yeah. Even a 1 in 6 chance of failing is better than no chance. It just makes it too powerful. But look, that doesn't matter. We played the game as it's as what we know anyway. If we made any mistakes, remember this is before Pariah Nexus gets released when we're making this video. So,
but yeah,
don't be too harsh on us.
We were also saying that the way to counter that is by numbers on the players. So you have one person death deny, killed, get death deny, and then you just have another person attack straight up after. And
that's the only way to take them out. Just soak up all of their CP in death denieds. It does limit you as the Marine player, though. You can't then do other tactics, and that is a bit of an issue. Now there was a tactic. Speaking of tactics, I was using few.
Yeah.
And what was the one? The one I
see them coming. You used a lot.
See them coming. This one is awesome. Basically, 1 CP. You get a -1 to your ballistic skill.
Yep.
And being a Marine, that puts you up to 4. And then you get to shoot when someone charges you. It's pretty brutal. I use it pretty good effect, particularly against the Orcs. You could imagine, poor Orcs. They got massacred trying to charge me. And I'm talking about their knobs and stuff, which are the main characters, which could have injured me and did the 3 wounds. I was mowing them down. Of course, another good thing about the heavy intercessors, they have better weapons. So, and the bolter has gone up to 2 wounds. The normal heavy bolter has. There's a couple of other types as well. I think it's executioner, heavy bolter, and that which can do 3 wounds. I think, which is really awesome. But I chose not to take that against the Necrons. I just took the normal heavy bolter, just so I did 2 wounds. But I'm pretty sure you got a lot of reanimation protocols. So you got like 3, I think.
I think 2 or 3 off you, and then second game that we played, there was 3, I think. And it was the same guy. So MVP for that guy.
Yeah, that's right. It was a warrior with me. I remember I just kept shooting him, killing him, and reanimating him. It was frustrating, but it made for a very low death count in that game.
It was very low. I think not to say you got lucky killing the flayed one, but I think the flayed one was just unlucky in the rolls. Because for the rest of that, I think that was a round 1 kill, and for the rest of the game there was nothing. So
it was literally just reanimation protocols or death denieds.
And
they're 2 durable teams, though, we should say too. Like both these teams are very durable, and I think even more durable. I guess
there was another tactic you tried with the cover doorway 1 CP one. But we realized that you couldn't do it because you didn't have any ready models because
we weren't ready.
Because it was on my first movement phase, and I was able to charge you.
You won initiative. So that's how it worked. It was round 1. Kaisel won initiative. Charged me through the doors, which now open automatically again. That's another change, which is awesome. And then managed to get onto me in that turn 1. But I went to use that skill, and then we reread it and realized, you can't do it unless you're ready. which is
Yeah.
fair. That's a fair call. But it does make it quite cool that you can shoot, which makes better. It's like an Overwatch then, so it's an interruption. So you're
Yeah.
actually interrupting events and saying, "Well, I'm going to shoot you now because I'm ready, and you're trying to charge me." So here you go. And
Yeah.
it's not just your normal Overwatch, which is great. I think it has the same rules as the other one.
Pretty much.
We just get -1 ballistic skill, so it makes it really, as a Marine with good stuff, it makes it really awesome.
Yep.
I think I flesh wounded you on the way in, so I was unlucky to not kill you with that
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. With the Necrons, from the Necron side, what did you experience? Because the Necrons have had a lot of changes in points, but also, and I thought when I first saw this, oh my god, the Necron points have gone up everywhere. But then I reread everything and the stats, and I'm like, wow, they've actually got a lot better. Like,
Yeah. So
a lot better.
going to my bread and butter with the flayed ones, I didn't. It did suck not having the rerolls on wounds. But again, volume of fire still like came through. But against Marines, because I went against Death Guard afterwards, which was a very unbalanced fight. Like I think the end score was 18-0 or something.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, I feel bad about that battle because like I was able to basically maneuver my units out of his firing arcs. So I rendered his his shooting, like his shooting was either locked up in melee combat or was sitting back and hallways. I was just ducking back around hallways. But yeah, I didn't really notice too much of a penalty with the flayed ones losing that. Volume of fire will generally cover that. Um, having those reapers, yeah, that's
Explain
for
what
no
that is, just so they know what that is.
like stock standard. They got a Gauss Flayer.
Mhm.
Now they got a Gauss Reaper, Gauss Reaper, whatever. Um, it turned their weapon from a 24-inch range rapid fire one, which do you really need that in close combat? 4 strength and -1 to a 12-inch assault 2 weapon with 5 strength -2. Just having those
Handy
walk
in Arena and Pariah Nexus in
very
close combat. Yeah, really handy.
so
Because you're not shooting 24 inches in Arena.
and
or I'd say Pariah Nexus, you're in close pretty much, like within 12 inches most of the time.
yeah, compared to a Gauss Blaster with Immortals and that sort of stuff,
Mm.
same spec except the Immortals have longer range and it's a rapid fire
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah.
just that -2 AP is definitely needed for Space Marines if you
Man,
can ever.
the Intercessors was actually really good. You're chipping wounds on me, which is
Yeah.
really important. We'd like to just chip away at them.
Yeah.
So make sure Necron's really good. And I've got some, like, we're going to do another video on Necrons with the new releases. We've done one in
Yeah.
the past. But I'm really thinking now in my head, half warriors, half flayed ones, and go a close combat sort of thing, but supported by good weapon, like good shooting. I think would be amazing.
The tactic I think I may go with Necrons from now is my flayed ones will basically be a distraction. So, well, you can think of it two ways. Like they're either going to run and try and cause chaos on the sides, and have shooting down the middle, like picking people off, or you're going to have shooting providing cover fire for the flayed ones to come from behind. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to try and move it. Where before I was basically just swarming with flayed ones and just doing volume of attacks to take down
Well,
people as fast as
you're
possible.
re-rolling all attacks, re-rolling all wounds. That was the
Yeah.
sort of broken aspect of them. But now, look, they're not bad still. Like, you take is it Nefrak or whatever it is, you can still re-roll all hits, right?
Yep.
But now you're just getting that -1 AP instead, which
yeah,
is
Nova.
handy because that let them down a little bit. Novak, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Which did let them down a little bit, not having an AP, but now they do have that -1 AP. So
Yeah.
all of this stuff has been moved in alignment with 9th edition, obviously, and I think they're good changes. It actually makes Necrons really good, better.
And just in
They're cheaper.
comparison, like fighting versus your Space Marines, like the 3 wounds, I was like, it was hard to take things down. Going against Death Guard, they're still with 1. That wasn't a challenge. So Death Guard definitely need to be boosted.
Oh yeah, they need 2 wounds. Plague Marines need 2 wounds. I think it's well overdue. Like, and they should. You know what I mean? Like, they're meant to be the most resilient team in the game. So they already have the 5 toughness, obviously, but they need the 2 wounds for sure to be competitive again. I think they're going to really need, especially to combat these like heavy intercessors and stuff, and all these new weapons that the Necrons have. It's
And
just yeah.
I have to say the Lich Guard, like the boost to the Lich Guard is just insane.
Now he got an extra attack. Is that right? Is that what
Yeah,
happened with him?
yeah, extra attack, which if combat puts him up to 4 attacks at
And
a
you brutalized my heavy intercessor. Remember, it was only because I had death denied that he survived.
yeah,
Like that Lich Guard, and they each 2 damage, isn't it? That weapon, and you would just
two
smash.
damage,
Yeah,
and it's strength +2, so there's 7 strength at -4 AP.
nasty.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't getting armor saves. You were just smashing me with that Lich Guard, so I just kept it at bay and was death denying it the whole time,
yeah,
which was really good for me anyway.
yeah,
But yeah, the Lich Guard change really good. Another really good change for Necrons is the Death Mark, which was probably universally the shittiest unit
yes,
in the Necron team. Now I think it fits its role a little better, right? As a sniper, which was what it was intended for.
mm,
Um, it actually fits that role now. Like the weapon is useful instead of being
yeah,
completely useless like it was before. Do you have the stats there on that?
yeah. They
They're not, they're not-
ballistic skill dropped down to 2+.
Yeah,
The
that's another change. Two
toughness
plus.
went up
Yeah.
to 5. And the disintegrator,
Hmm.
yeah, that's now classified as a heavy. 36 range, but they also don't suffer any long range penalties.
Yep. So you can
Five,
shoot beyond the board
yeah,
with no long range penalties.
5
Amazing.
strength and -2 AP. It's
It
and
does only have one attack. That's
Yep.
the one thing about it. It's a one attack weapon, but for that sniper role, you can pretty much shoot anything on the board you have visual on. If you did have a comms specialist with you, which you could have a warrior comms or something, you'd be 1+ to hit. So that means even people in cover at long range would only be 2+. Which is crazy. That's
Yeah.
awesome. 2+. So you guarantee to hit basically. And if you make them a sniper specialist, you reroll once. So you pretty much covered your bases there, right? So if you have a sniper death mark now, pretty nasty. You're I'm not going to say always going to hit because you could can roll 2 ones, but you're pretty much going to be hitting all the time with it every turn, which is great.
Yeah.
And now it has a bit stronger. It can hit a bit harder. Has the better AP. So I think it's actually a legitimate thing now. And there are quite a few tactics, if they're going to keep the same tactics, obviously, in Necrons that benefit Deathmark. So you might want to revisit those too, because I think now they're useful in some role. You know what I mean? Like they're useful.
Well, I did speculate that. Well, when I say speculate that, when we were going through the Necron thing, I sort of said I wanted to hypothetically put together a kill team that had a group of 3 death marks to drop in. I couldn't figure out how it was going to work, but this may now work. So,
yeah, because they do have that. You can drop 3, can't you? So you could have like
Yeah.
a sniper team drops in, just decimates their leader or whoever, in the first turn, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a great change. Was there any other changes with the Necron themselves that was there any tactics that you were using, or there was a few new objectives, wasn't there, as well?
Yeah. I didn't really use anything out of the norm. Mind Shackle Scarabs was definitely used.
Yeah, successfully too. Maybe
Very successfully.
he took over the mind of my heavy bolter, heavy intercessor, and blew the other one away.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had death denied. Otherwise, I'd be dead because he just totally munted the other heavy intercessor bolter with the heavy intercessor bolter. It was brutal, and that's hard to do. It was a good roll because I think you've got to get over their leadership, which is, I think it was 8 something.
Yeah, I needed 9+.
It was a really good roll. Got really lucky, but that's how that Mind Shackle Scarabs works. When it works, it's a good day all around.
And from memory, I think he was the only thing that you could shoot with.
Yeah.
And you had
the other one, fell back from your Lich Guard. I fell back from your Lich Guard with the other heavy bolter.
Yeah.
And then he was right next to the other heavy bolter. And so that was my only guy I could actually shoot at, your guy that I fell back from.
Yeah.
So
even though you had initiative,
grab me, yeah.
Yeah, even though you had initiative, I got to still do that first. It's because you started the shooting phase.
Yeah, really powerful. Obviously, it doesn't work all the time, and you've got a bigger chance of failing when you've got to get over 8 than you do of succeeding. But you succeeded on this day, and it worked quite well. Took away my shooting and would have killed a heavy intercessor, heavy bolter, which is worth 24 points. So that would have been a bit killer if you pulled that one off.
I think the only thing I didn't do was the shenanigans trying to get you to re-roll reanimation protocols.
Oh
um,
yeah.
just to drain your CP, but you were hanging on to that CP for
Yeah,
Death
I was
Denied.
being a bit, frugal with it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was making sure that I knew I was going to die at the Lich Guard, and I wasn't expecting the Mind Shackle, obviously, because people
yeah,
don't generally use that against Astartes because they've got good leadership. But you did, you gave it a
yeah.
go, and it worked. So
Uh,
that did
if
drain all my CP over time.
yeah, if anything, it was just to try and get. It was actually just to get you not shooting with that guy. Um,
Yeah,
if I missed, didn't matter because you couldn't shoot with him. So that guy was actually going to be a problem for me that round if that didn't land.
yeah. Another note I'll make on mine. I played with a heavy intercessor. I played against orcs. The next thing, it wasn't probably the most optimal build against the heavy intercessors, but yeah, it was interesting. I didn't lose again. I didn't. Oh no, I lost one heavy intercessor right at the end to one of his knob leaders that was still survived somehow. But I nearly wiped the whole board by turn 4 because I was just literally walking to objectives in the open and not caring about orc shooting. It was just like,
Mm,
you do the odds in your head and you're like, you're not going to hit with many things. Like it's only if you shoot me without a rocket launcher and I'm in the open, I'm in a bit of trouble. Or the looter or something like that. But the main thing you're scared about with the heavy intercessors with orcs is the orc knobs coming to close combat with claws and stuff like that. That's what you're really worried about. And he did do that, and I did death deny at least 3 times through that game as well on 3 turns consecutively. Saved my ass against those orcs, and that really hurt him because I was fighting back, and I had just 2 raw attacks with no weapons or anything, but it was still good enough to hit orcs who have shitty armor. So I managed to take down most of his stuff in close combat anyway and
mm,
survive. Good armor saves, and he had a lot of boys with choppers, and they don't have AP, so that really went against him as well. He did really hurt one with a rocket launcher. It actually hit me. When orcs actually hit with their weapons, they actually do good damage because they do have good weapons.
yeah,
But I felt really bad again because I was just sauntering over to they move slow, but I was just sauntering over to objectives and just sitting on them and winning every objective again. So this 3 wound thing, man, with 5 models, normally you're only going to have like 3 to 5 objectives in any of the missions that you do, current competitive ones anyway. I'm sure it won't change.
mm,
And you can really sit one of these on each of them, and it's really nasty. Hey, and they've got good weapons now, like decent weapons that you can just sit there and take pot shots at stuff, and most of the time you're doing pretty good. I took
yeah,
I should say I was taking Imperial Fist too, so I had the cover things I wasn't getting penalties for, so because they're Siege Masters ability. So Imperial Fists were quite a good option with that. So I was sort of like Terminator 2ing it, just like moving forward in the open and just shooting and going onto objectives. So it
S-
really worked well.
there was some other stuff we didn't end up testing out because we completely forgot at the time because we're playing
Totally
games,
forgot.
having fun.
We had new
Um,
stats, everything to think about. So
yeah, was the no escape on the walls with melee, which you didn't really have too much melee, but I did, and I
no,
completely forgot
melee.
to do that.
Okay. Yeah, you could have done
So,
that with your Lich Guard. You could have done that with the flayed ones when you had one of my Marines that one on that fire objective around the
yeah,
corner, and you could have when you swung around you could have pinned him like that with that new rule. And
yeah.
yeah, you get what do you want to just explain that to people who might not understand
Um,
like how it works?
when a model makes an attack with a melee weapon against an enemy model that's within 1 inch of the wall, door, terrain feature, or pitfall, the attacking model can gain an advantage. Draw an imaginary straight line from the center of the attacking model base to the edge of the game board, passing through the center of the target's base. If that line touches a wall, door, terrain feature, or pitfall within 1 inch of the target, add 1 to the injury roll.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome, man. The injury roll. Think about that, people. Yeah, so you're normally dying in close combat on a 4 up. That's a
yeah,
3 up you're dying on now.
yeah.
So really powerful in confined spaces. Hey, so that really gave the flayed one an advantage. If you would have used it, but you can't blame us on that one. There's so many rules we're trying to remember and the new
Oh,
changes, and then we
I,
were
I,
still working with the new stats. And I'm not like an Astartes player. I hate Imperium Army, so like I was working with Astartes, and I'm like, ugh,
not
you
after
know.
yesterday.
Yeah, I think now I'm like I've always had an Imperial Fist team, Primaris one basically, but now I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't mind the heavy intercessors box. I used proxies yesterday because obviously I don't have the heavy intercessor models; they haven't been released yet. But yeah, I th- this is a
I
strong team. Hey? Like it is very strong. Even with 5 models at 100 points, it is. I didn't seem to have any problems with that tactic of just sauntering
mm,
up to objectives and holding them and engaging in very close close quarters firefights with enemy, it just wasn't even hurting me.
Yeah.
I felt quite invulnerable to damage. Actually, I felt a little bit emboldened compared to
Yeah.
most of the armies I play. So I take most of the pansy, fast, brittle armies. That's what I generally play. So having a real tanky army was like, oh, this is nice. I can just rock up to this objective, just shooting, spraying bullets as I go there and killing stuff and just not caring. It was just like,
So on the close quarters thing as well, that's also another rule that got added. And because of the potato quality of the photos, didn't really get all of the rule. But it was basically when a model makes an attack with a ranged weapon, do not apply the hit roll modifiers for the target model being at long range. So close quarters, yeah. We also didn't touch on another one for concentrated radius for damage on multi dice attacks and that sort of stuff, where you add an additional dice in the roll and then you remove the lowest one.
yeah, this would be really good, like for grenades.
Yeah.
So like a D6 grenade is going to be 2D6 and choose the highest, which is amazing because it saves you stuffing up and rolling one, and at least you've got something to choose from.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. So you throw a grenade in a corridor. Haven't been in the army. Oh my god! You throw a grenade in a corridor. It's not nice for anyone that's standing in that corridor. They're all dead. So yeah, it does actually represent that quite well. So we were thinking of using that, but we did go to use it, but we used it in the wrong situation. I remember, and then we pulled ourselves up and went, "No, actually, we can't use that because it wasn't a variable weapon.
Yes.
Like a D3 or something." So keep that in mind. Obviously, flamers are what I'm thinking here. You know what I mean? Flamers and grenades were the first two things I thought about. Flamers are just lethal in this iteration, particularly when you can shoot at things that charge you from the blind. Yeah, with a flamer, and in the close quarters, you then get to roll 2 dice and choose the highest one for how many hits. So it's more of a risk now charging someone with a flamer. Definitely. Especially within close confines anyway, not if you're playing open obviously, but in close confines like this with the new rules, definitely. And then that makes sense. I mean, like if you're going to go into like a Pariah Nexus situation, I mean, a flame is like a mad weapon to take, right? I'd rather take that than something long range. I mean, why would, you know what I mean? Everything would be short range really. But yeah, really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Were there any other
there's also like stuff with mission rules, like we mentioned before, the objective markers. It's changed as well. When determining who controls the objective marker, rather than determining the number of models, each player totals the wounds characteristics of the models in the kill team within 2 inches of the objective marker, ignoring models that are shaken. The player with the highest total controls the objective marker. Now, I just realized it doesn't say anything there about total remaining wounds.
No, I would assume total remaining wounds.
Yeah,
I think that's how we played it on the day. That's what we did. I guess that could be FAQ. They probably won't. I would assume remaining wounds because if I've got a heavy intercessor, but I'm down to my last wound, and I should only be 1 wound, really.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I would go with I would go with remaining as well, but Games Workshop.
Yeah, it's a bit elusive. Like the wording and everything they do is very elusive. You could go either way. It's that with Games Workshop products, it's not very black and white kind of thing.
I'd rather that.
Yeah, but anyway, we were using that anyway, and as I said, that's why I think the heavy intercessors got the jump on you. It's just because I could hold one, hold more every turn. So it was just like, yep. How are you gonna budget? Kill me. So
there was there is a lot of other changes that we're not going to go over. One of the ones that did stick out to me right at the start, and I did ping you about it, was like, was this in the original? I don't remember this in the original. We confirmed it wasn't. Engage on all fronts as an objective has been changed slightly, with the addition of, at the end of the battle round, score 1 VP if there is at least one model from your kill team other than shaken wholly in each of the rectangles and not within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield, stopping you from just putting a cluster right in the center and going, there's all 4 fronts.
And then holding, maybe taking domination as well. I think that's to stop that. So you can't just hold all 4 quarters of the board and domination at the same time. It makes it, that was a game winner in the past. You know what I mean? If that's how it was, if you could choose those objectives. So do you want to go through some of the other new objectives? Because they're actually quite good. There's one that I use, which really got me a lot of points. It was the objective one again, how many you hold at the end of the game. That was awesome.
Oh, the area secured.
Area Secured. Read that one because I think
oh,
that's probably the strongest one out of the ones the new ones that have come out.
at the end of the battle, score 1 VP for each objective mark you control. Is that?
So you basically, at the end of the turn, at the end of the game, sorry,
Yep.
you're getting 1 victory point for each objective you hold. So if you're just ensuring that you're holding, and in my case with the Marines, with the 3 wounds, I was holding most of the objectives anyway.
Yep.
So there's an automatic 3 points at the end of the game if you can do that.
Hmm.
So if you've got a real tanky team that can hold objectives, I'm thinking like Chaos Demons with Pink Horrors and stuff. Take something like this where you can whack lots of wounds on, on objectives, and then take this Area Secure. Really good, awesome objective. I like that addition.
Yeah, break them. If the enemy kill team is broken at the end of the third battle round, score 3 victory points.
Bang, that's a good one too. I
if
like that.
the enemy kill team is broken at the end of the fourth, score 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, how good's that? Like if you go up against a team, you got a real firepower heavy team. Is very offensive. This could be really good against those teams that you can get in and just take down. You know what I mean? With low leadership, like say Orcs or something. Like they might be numerous, but they're quite easy to break. So things like that. This is going to be fantastic. By turn 3 or turn 4, you're getting 3 or 2 victory points. That's great for secondary. I'd nearly take that every time with the right team. You know what I mean? I think it's a great one.
I was just thinking then, I remember you saying something. I don't think you were broken at the end of a game, or you had one model left or something. You spent 1 CP to unbreak him.
Yeah, that was an Australian tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, so even if you didn't spend that 1 point, you still had more points than him. If they had this, that may have jumped them up.
My team was still broken in turn 3. So he would have got 3 victory points with this, and I would have lost that game. So this makes a big difference.
As we said before, I think we said it before. It could have been before we were before we started recording. This seems to be balancing out a lot of arena. So not
overall, I'm quite happy with most of the changes so far. I think they're reasonable. I'm a little bit sus on the Death Denied. I don't think that should be 2 points. It's ridiculous. But I don't have many more complaints. I like having played even with the arena. I know we won't use Prime Nexus, which is going to have the pitfalls. It's going to have all those other things, which is going to be awesome. But even in arena, I could see how it would work, and we noticed. Hey, we did the first thing we said is, oh man, this is going to be more lethal, right? That's the first thing we said to each other when we played.
Yes.
Like people are going to die more because you can do better Overwatch, you can do all these things, and it ended up being the opposite for us because our two teams just kept negating each other but that was because of the abilities that we had, I guess. But I think other teams it's going to be quite brutal.
So going on what you just said, then based on the Astartes versus Necrons, who have been boosted in different ways, it was sort of a stalemate. You won on points just because of the holding the objectives. Turn that around into the Death Guard fight, and it was basically just death after death after death. Like 2 to 3 units per round was dying from them. Not
Your weapons were better.
The weapons were just
the
weapons were just better, and the Death Guard could not compete. Like they, even with disgustingly resilient. Like if they saved, there was another attack coming in. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
I think you've hit it right on the head there. That's the advantage. I think the rules it makes for close to quarter confines anyway. The shooting team gets a little bit of an advantage over the fighting team, but the fighting team, when they get in, can pin you up against that 1-inch terrain piece and get and easily kill you. So it's sort of, I see how it's trying to balance that out there between shooting and close combat. So they're getting a better bonus, like CP generated, obviously. They're getting a better bonus as that you're charging them. But once you get in and you survive that, you've got a better chance of killing them, which I like. It makes a lot of sense from just a practical point of view. Because if someone's running at you, it's quite easy with a gun to shoot them. It's not hard at all. But once they're on top of you and you've committed to your firearm and you don't have a close combat weapon, you're done. You know what I mean? Like you're going to get overwhelmed quite quickly, which makes sense.
And I think I mentioned in the last video we did how I tend to go more melee and I like locking people up. And I said that if you go against someone that's shoot heavy, they still can shoot you, but as soon as you get them in combat, that like renders them completely useless. And as I said before, you only had that one guy that could shoot. I took him out with mine shackle, which you then had nothing in that shooting phase, and it was down to your actual melee against my melee.
And the Necron melee, if you're using flayed ones and Lich Guards, is better than a heavy intercessor. One thing I'll note with the Astartes too is the Assault Marine got a better chainsword, which is just so needed. I hope they give this to HA and the other teams with chainswords, because it's a -1 AP chainsword now, still with +1 attack, which is just exactly what they needed. I've always hated the thought that Marines fight assault with chainswords, but they're useless at killing other Marines. Like with no AP, it's shit. So like
Yeah, well,
with the -1, I think it just makes it a little bit better. It makes you a little bit more competitive when you roll in. It's even if you're fighting a Marine equivalent, now it's a 50-50 to to break their armor, which is better. You know what I mean? Like it's better than what it was before, which is crap.
yeah,
Just did these attacks, and you don't get many attacks as a Marine anyway, and then they'd have no effect because you just save them.
yeah.
So
Going back to
I think I like that chainsword change as well. Hopefully, as I said, I hope this goes across the board for all Marine teams, like evil ones too, because HA will be sick. Then I can bring out my chainsworders, which I really like. Any other things you want to say before we close this one up? I think we've given you a bit of a preview of what we discovered and experienced with Pariah Nexus using Arena.
That's it, I think.
Cool, man. Well, if you'd like to consider becoming a subscriber to this channel, I would really appreciate it. It takes you a second to do. Means heaps to us. So we've been trying to put out better quality actual edited videos than we normally do with images, and Kaisel's done a really good job on that. So thank you for that. And if you'd like to subscribe, great. Please do it, and like, comment, all those things. But for now, we're War HQ. You're you, Lucius and Kaisel, and we'll see you later.